The space station floated quietly at the edge of the galaxy, its metal body glinting against the darkness of space. Ships of every size and shape came and went, each carrying beings from countless worlds. Some were traders, some travelers, some soldiers. Among them was a human named Yarrick. He stood near a docking bay, watching the crowd with calm, steady eyes. Unlike most humans who visited the station, Yarrick did not rush or fumble. He moved with careful purpose, his hands lightly resting on the tools strapped to his belt. Yarrick was not a diplomat. He was not a soldier. He was a simple engineer from Earth, skilled in repairing machines and understanding complex systems. And yet, today, he felt the weight of more than tools on his shoulders. Today, he was here because of a question that no one expected him to face, inside the station's grand hall. A group of alien dignitaries gathered. Bright lights reflected off their shimmering skins, glowing eyes, and elaborate armors. At the center stood Princess Liara, the youngest royal of the Andari Dominion. She was known across the galaxy for her intelligence, boldness, and curiosity. Many feared her sharp tongue and sharper mind. She rarely asked questions without reason, and when she did, his questions often exposed secrets or weaknesses in her subjects. Liara's eyes scanned the hall, landing finally on Yarrick. A human. She had heard of humans before. Most alien societies believed humans were fragile, limited, and unreliable. Many whispered about Earth as if it were a tiny, unimportant planet. But the stories did not match what Liara felt when she looked at Yarrick. He did not seem afraid. He did not cower like the other humans she had seen. There was something in his gaze, something that suggested confidence, thought, and quiet strength. Curious, she approached him, her flowing garments making soft sounds as she moved. Aliens parted around her, bowing slightly. Yarrick straightened, but did not bow. He did not shrink. He simply nodded politely, aware of the princess's presence, but unshaken. Human, Liara began, her voice carrying lightly through the hall. I have watched your species from afar. You are clever, yes, but your kind is often reckless. You risk more than you should, and speak as if the universe will answer you. Tell me why should anyone trust a human with matters of consequence? Her question was sharp. Many in the hall tensed, expecting Yarrick to stumble, fumble, or give a polite but meaningless answer. They expected caution. They expected fear. But Yarrick smiled slightly. Not arrogantly, not defiantly, but with calm clarity. Princess, he said, I cannot speak for all humans. Some may fail, some may stumble, but we learn, we adapt. We face challenges even when the odds are against us. If you want trust, it is not given lightly. It is earned. And humans are willing to earn it every time. A hush fell over the hall. The aliens whispered to one another. His words were simple, yet they carried weight. They did not boast. They did not exaggerate. They only stated a truth that many of Liara's people had never expected a human to acknowledge. Liara tilted her head, her golden eyes studying him. She had expected a timid response. She had expected fear. Instead, she saw calm confidence, intelligence, and honesty. It intrigued her. You are different from what I imagined, she said softly, almost to herself. Perhaps I underestimated your kind. Yarrick met her gaze steadily. Perhaps, he said. Or perhaps you have only seen what others allowed you to see. Liara's lips curved slightly into a small, rare smile. That one movement caused a ripple of whispers to spread through the hall. Many wondered how a human could remain so poised in front of the princess. Some doubted, some were curious, some were annoyed. Liara herself, however, felt a spark of curiosity she had not felt in years. The moment was broken by the arrival of an urgent message. A communications officer approached Liara quickly. Princess, there is a report of system malfunctions in the engineering sector. Some ships have experienced sudden power drops. The station's core may be at risk. Liara's eyes narrowed. She turned to Yarrick. You are an engineer, are you not? I am, Yarrick replied simply. Then you will come with me, she said. Her voice left no room for refusal. Aliens around them murmured. Many wondered why the princess would ask a human someone from a species she'd barely trusted to accompany her on a potential crisis. But Liara did not answer their questions. She simply moved toward the engineering sector. With Yarrick following, the corridors of the station were wide and clean, lined with panels, pipes, and glowing conduits. Yarrick moved quickly, inspecting the panels and systems as they walked. He noticed anomalies, immediately subtle fluctuations in energy output, irregular readings on the monitors. The signs pointed to intentional sabotage. Someone is tampering with the systems, Yarrick said, frowning. This isn't random. The power drops are controlled, almost precise. Liara listened, intrigued. And you are certain? I am certain, Girek replied. I have seen patterns like this before. Whoever did this knows the station's systems well, but they made mistakes. Small mistakes. We can trace them. Liara studied him. His confidence was growing, but it was grounded in knowledge, not arrogance. It was rare to see a human think so clearly under pressure. She felt her curiosity deepen. Then we must find the source, she said. They reached the core control room. Red lights flashed softly, and the hum of machinery filled the room. Technicians ran around, trying to stabilize the systems. Liara gave quick orders, her voice calm and authoritative. Yarrick moved beside her, inspecting panels, rerouting energy flows, and quickly isolating the anomalies. The other aliens watched in surprise. Yarrick's hands moved with precision, his mind working faster than most engineers they had ever seen. Within minutes, he had identified the source of the sabotage, a hidden terminal someone had used to manipulate the station's power grid. Here, Yarrick said, pointing. They left a trace. Whoever did this is still on the station, and I can follow it. Lyra's eyes sparkled with interest. Good. Then we must move quickly. Lead the way. As they followed the trail, Liara observed Yarrick closely. He was human, yes, but he was also brave, clever, and calm in ways that surprised her. She had expected a timid engineer, someone who would rely on orders and fear. Instead, she found a partner, someone who could think, act, and solve problems without hesitation. They moved through maintenance corridors, climbed narrow ladders, and slipped through shadows to avoid detection. Finally, they reached a side room where the saboteur had left equipment running. Yarrick knelt, inspecting the tools and devices. They are skilled, he said, but not perfect. They made adjustments that can be reversed. I can stop this. Liara watched him, admiration growing quietly. You do not fear them? Yarrick shook his head. Fear does not help. Understanding and action do. For a moment, Liara felt something she rarely felt: trust. Not blind trust, but trust based on observation and judgment. This human had earned it, not through words alone, but through action and intelligence. As Yarrick worked, the station's systems began to stabilize. Lights returned to normal, alarms ceased, and the hum of machinery became steady. Technicians sighed in relief. Liara allowed herself a small, approving smile. You have done well, she said. Yarrick stood and nodded. We are not finished. The saboteur is still here. We must find them before they strike again. Liara's curiosity turned into determination. She had asked a bold question earlier, never expecting a human to answer with such confidence and insight. Now she realized that this human was more than clever. He was capable, brave, and resourceful, a combination rare even among the most advanced species. And she knew one thing clearly: this was only the beginning. As they prepared to track the saboteur, Liara wondered silently what other surprises humans might hold. She had underestimated them once. She would not make that mistake again in the quiet hum of the station. Amidst flashing lights and distant starships, an unlikely partnership had begun. The princess and the human, brought together by curiosity and challenge, were about to discover just how far human ingenuity could reach, and somewhere deep in her mind, Liara smiled at the thought. She had asked a bold question. She had not expected the human's response. But now, she could not wait to see what he would do next. The space station trembled as distant flashes of light appeared on the monitors. The rogue fleet was approaching faster than anyone had anticipated. Ships of various sizes, sleek and menacing, moved in formation toward the station. Alarms echoed through the corridors, and every alien and human on board rushed to prepare for what seemed like an impossible battle. Princess Liara stood in the command center, her golden eyes scanning the readouts. The fleet was large, organized, and heavily armed. Many of the alien officers panicked, muttering about the station's vulnerability. But Yarrick remained calm, crouched over the station's main control console. Princess, Yarrick said quietly, they expect a standard defense. They expect panic, rigid formations, and mistakes. They don't expect humans to act unpredictably. We can use that to our advantage. Liara studied him, intrigued. What do you mean? Yarrick tapped a few controls, bringing up a holographic map of the station and the fleet's trajectory. We can use the station itself, redirect power, create false signals, and guide their fleet into traps. If we can confuse them, we can delay their attack long enough for reinforcements to arrive, or even force them to retreat. The aliens in the command center exchanged doubtful glances. Many had never seen a human lead or direct operations on such a scale, but Liara knew better. She had witnessed Yarrick's skill during the sabotage. If anyone could find a solution, it was him. Do it, Liara commanded, her voice firm. We follow your plan, Yarrick nodded, and began issuing orders, moving with precision and clarity. He rerouted the station's energy through auxiliary channels, creating false sensor readings that suggested hidden weapons and decoy ships. He instructed drone units to move in unpredictable patterns, confusing the enemy fleet's targeting systems. As the first ships of the rogue fleet arrived, they fired, expecting chaos. Instead, they encountered a maze of energy shields, decoy drones, and misdirected weapons. Confused, the fleet struggled to maintain formation. The aliens on the station stared in awe. Yarrick was turning the station into a fortress. Using strategy instead of brute force, Liara moved beside him, her eyes narrowing. How long can we hold them off? She asked. Yarrick studied the displays carefully. Long enough for two possibilities. Either reinforcements arrive, or the fleet loses confidence. They will not expect humans to fight like this. Minutes stretched into hours. The station's systems hummed and pulsed under Yarrick's guidance. Red warning lights flashed intermittently, but his calm voice kept everyone focused. When one section of the station began to overload, Yarrick rerouted energy in seconds, preventing a catastrophic failure. His quick thinking saved lives again and again. In the observation deck, Liara watched the stars streak past as ships maneuvered in chaos. She could feel her pulse quicken. She had always respected humans for their courage and adaptability, but this was beyond what she had imagined. Yarrick was not only surviving the attack, he was turning it into an advantage. Suddenly, a group of smaller rogue ships broke formation and attempted to penetrate the docking bays. Alarms blared as alien soldiers scrambled to intercept them. Princess Yarrick said, pointing at the approaching ships, we cannot rely on them. We must use the station itself to stop them. Liara nodded. Do what you must. Yarrick tapped a few more controls. Energy fields shifted, creating barriers that trapped the enemy ships in narrow corridors. Magnetic pulses disabled their engines, forcing them to drift helplessly. Within minutes, the rogue attackers were neutralized without a single shot. Fired by the station's conventional weapons, Liara's breath caught in her throat. She had seen many battles, many brilliant strategies from alien admirals, but nothing like this. A single human, using ingenuity and calm judgment, had outmaneuvered a fleet. Remarkable, she whispered. Yarrick glanced at her. It's not just me, he said. Humans survive this way. We adapt, think ahead, and act when others hesitate. That is how we turn impossible situations into victories. The rogue fleet, now disorganized and frustrated, began to retreat. Many ships fled in panic, their confidence shattered. The remaining vessels disengaged, unsure of how to continue against an unpredictable defense. The station remained intact, its crew unharmed. Thanks to the human engineer who had seen possibilities no one else could. Liara turned to Yarrick, her expression one of rare warmth. You have done more than I imagined. You have shown me, and perhaps the galaxy, that humans are capable of more than any of us believed. Yarrick shrugged, modest as ever. We are not perfect. We make mistakes. But we learn. That is what makes us strong. Liara studied him closely. I see that now. And it is not just your skill. It is your courage, your clarity, and your calm. Most beings would panic in this situation. You do not. Yarrick smiled faintly. Fear exists in all species. But courage is the choice to act despite it. Humans have to choose courage every day. It is how we survive. The command center erupted with cheers and applause from the alien crew. They had witnessed the humans' capability firsthand, and skepticism had turned into respect. Liara allowed herself a small, satisfied smile. Later, a private room overlooking the station and the retreating fleet. Liara turned to Yarrick. You have changed how I see humans, she said. I have always underestimated your kind. Today you have proven that humans can think differently, act decisively, and face dangers that would terrify most species. You have left a mark on this station, on me, and on the galaxy. Yarrick looked out at the stars, thoughtful. I do not seek recognition, Princess. Humans act because it must be done. But I am glad if it changes your perspective, Liara smiled. A mixture of admiration and curiosity. It has. And I want others to see it too. I will ensure your actions today are remembered across the Dominion. Humans will no longer be underestimated. Yarrick nodded, quietly pleased. Then perhaps the galaxy will be wiser for it. Over the next few days, Liara worked to broadcast the events to allied stations and planets. She spoke openly of Yarrick's ingenuity, calm, leadership, and courage. Across the Dominion, whispers turned into discussions, and discussions turned into acknowledgement. Humans were no longer seen as weak or unimportant. They were recognized as clever, adaptable, and brave. Garrett continued his work, repairing systems damaged during the fleet's approach and improving defenses for future threats. But he no longer felt like just an engineer. He had proven that humans could lead, innovate, and save lives under pressure. And the galaxy had taken notice. One evening, after the station was secure, Liara approached Yarrick again. I asked a bold question when we first met, she said softly. I did not expect your answer. And I certainly did not expect your actions. You have exceeded my expectations, human. Yarrick looked at her and smiled. Thank you, Princess. I only did what had to be done. Liara shook her head, a rare sparkle in her eyes. It is more than that. You have shown the galaxy what humans can achieve. And perhaps you have shown me something as well. That courage and intelligence can come from unexpected places. Yarrick nodded, understanding her meaning. Then we have both learned something valuable. Liara studied him for a moment, then glanced at the stars. The galaxy is vast, human. Many challenges await. But now I know that with humans like you, we can face them and, perhaps even thrive. The stars outside the station glimmered quietly, witnesses to a rare moment of understanding and respect between species. A human had proven himself not by strength alone, but by ingenuity, courage, and calm clarity. An alien princess had asked a bold question, and the response had reshaped her understanding of an entire species. And somewhere deep within the station, Yarrick and Liara shared a silent acknowledgement. Humans had entered the galaxy not just as traders or workers, but as equals, respected, admired, and capable of leaving a lasting legacy. As the station hummed beneath them, and ships resumed their travels among the stars. Liara knew one thing for certain. She had underestimated humans once, but never again. And Yarrick, the human engineer who had faced impossible odds with calm determination, had earned a place not just in her respect, but in the story of the galaxy itself. In the quiet of the observation deck, Liara finally allowed herself a small smile. I asked a bold question, she whispered. I did not expect the human's response. But now, I am grateful I did. Yara glanced at her and returned the smile, their mutual understanding unspoken but clear. The galaxy had witnessed the human legacy, and it would never be the same again. Princess Lyra watched the security monitors, her eyes narrowing as red warning signals blinked across the screens. The saboteur had left traces, but they were clever, covering every path with false leads. Even so, Yarrick moved confidently beside her, analyzing every piece of data with calm precision. "Princess," he said, pointing to a holographic map of the station, "they are trying to reach the docking bay. If they succeed, they could steal one of the ships or cause a chain reaction in the power grid. We need to intercept them before that happens." Liara studied him for a moment. The human's ability to assess risks so quickly was impressive. Unlike most aliens who relied on orders and chains of command, Yarrick made decisions instantly, calmly, correctly. "Lead the way," she said, her voice steady. "We have little time." They moved through the station's narrow maintenance corridors side by side. Alaya could feel the tension in the air. Some alien guards whispered behind them, questioning why the princess trusted a human with such responsibility. But Lyra did not answer them. She had seen Yarrick's skills firsthand. That was enough. As they turned a corner, a panel on the wall suddenly sparked, sending a small burst of fire into the corridor. Yarrick reacted instantly. He grabbed a nearby toolkit, removed the panel, and rerouted the circuits. The sparks stopped, and the corridor returned to normal. "You act fast," Liara said quietly, almost impressed. "I act when it matters," Yarrick replied. "Delays cost time and lives. Panic doesn't help anyone." Liara nodded silently. She could feel her respect for the human growing. Many species underestimated humans, thinking them fragile and foolish. But Yarrick had shown her that humans could combine courage, intelligence, and creativity in ways that others could not. Finally, they reached the docking bay. The saboteur was there, tampering with the engines of a small transport ship. The figure was swift, trying to hide behind cargo containers. Liara could see the alien's glowing eyes darting nervously, sensing that they were being watched. Yarrick crouched behind a metal crate, whispering, "I can stop them without a fight, but we must act together. On my signal, move fast and block their escape." Liara gave a small nod. Together, they stepped out from their cover. The saboteur froze, realizing too late that they had been trapped. Yarrick approached, his calm demeanor never faltering. "You don't need to do this," he said simply. "Stop now, and no harm will come to you." The saboteur hesitated, confused by the human's confidence. Most species expected fear, aggression, or threats. Humans often reacted unpredictably, but rarely with this kind of calm authority. In that moment, Lyra stepped forward. Her voice was firm, commanding, and unmistakable. "Cease your actions. You have no chance of escaping. Surrender now." The alien paused, then slowly dropped the device in its hands. Yarrick quickly disabled it and examined the equipment. They were planning a chain reaction. If they succeeded, half the docking bay would have been destroyed, he said. Lyra's golden eyes met his. "You prevented a disaster without firing." "A single shot," she said, a rare note of admiration in her voice. "Your people may not fight like us, but your methods are effective." Yarrick shrugged lightly. "Fighting is not always the answer. Understanding and foresight save more lives than weapons." The captured saboteur was taken into custody. Lyra stood silently for a moment, considering the situation. She had asked a bold question when they first met, expecting perhaps a clever answer, or even a weak one. But Yarrick had not only answered, it was clear he could act on his words. Later, in a quieter part of the station, Lyra led Yarrick to a small observation deck overlooking the stars. The station hummed beneath them, and ships passed slowly by, leaving trails of light against the darkness. "You are different from any human I have met," she said. "Most rely on guidance, orders, or rules. You improvise, adapt, and act." Yarrick looked at the stars for a moment before replying. "Survival requires adaptation. The galaxy is vast and unpredictable. Rules are useful, but only if you can recognize when to bend them." Lyra nodded slowly, understanding more than she had intended. She had grown up among beings who valued rigid hierarchy and strict obedience. Humans' independence and resourcefulness were alien concepts to her, yet they fascinated her. "Tell me," she said softly, "why do humans not fear the unknown as much as others? You face dangers that would terrify most species, yet you move forward." Yarick smiled faintly. "Fear exists in all species, Princess, but humans. We treat fear as a signal, not a barrier. It tells us where danger lies, not whether we should act. We act anyway, because hesitation can be worse than failure." Lyra's eyes reflected the starlight. She realized she had underestimated humans all her life. They were more than clever. Or brave, they were adaptable, willing to face challenges head-on and able to turn fear into strength. The moment of reflection was interrupted by a sudden alert on the station's communication system. The message was brief but alarming. Unauthorized fleet approaching. Coordinates locked on station. Unknown intentions. Lyra's expression hardened. She turned to Yarick. "It seems our work is not finished. They may be connected to the sabotage. We need to prepare for something larger than one saboteur." Yarick nodded, already analyzing the situation. "If they attack, we must think differently. Humans have ways to use what is available to us. I can prepare a strategy using the station's systems to delay or misdirect them." Lyra smiled faintly. "And let us see how your humans handled true danger." Over the next hours, the station buzzed with preparation. Aliens ran drills, checked weapons, and secured docking bays. Yarick moved among them, offering instructions, improvising systems, and guiding them with surprising authority. Many aliens looked at him skeptically at first. Some doubted a human could influence them. But as time passed, they began to follow his lead. His confidence and clear thinking earned their trust. Lyra observed quietly, her thoughts a mixture of admiration and curiosity. She had always prided herself on knowing who could be trusted and who could not. And yet, she found herself trusting this human more than many of her own people, as night fell across the station. Though night in space was only the dimming of artificial lights, Lyra finally approached Yarick privately. "I asked you a bold question when we met," she said. "I did not expect you to respond as you did. Now I see that your actions match your words. I am impressed." Yarick glanced at her unflustered. "Thank you, Princess. I do not seek praise. I only do what must be done." Lyra studied him for a moment longer. "You are not just clever. You are brave, resourceful. You think in ways my people cannot imagine, that is, rare." "I am just human," Yarick said quietly. "We have to make up for what we lack in strength with what we have in ingenuity and courage." Lyra smiled faintly. "And that is why I believe we will need your ingenuity very soon. The fleet approaching the station may test all of us. Humans may surprise even the most experienced beings in this galaxy." Yarick's eyes narrowed slightly as he looked at the holographic map again. "Then we must prepare. I will need access to the station's core systems, and I will need your support to coordinate the defenders. Together, we can delay them and keep the station safe." Lyra nodded. "You have it. Lead the way, human." As they prepared, Lyra realized something else. The bold question she had asked earlier was only the beginning. This human had answered it in words, and now was proving it in action. She had underestimated him at first, and she would not make that mistake again. Outside the observation deck, the stars shone quietly. Ships approached slowly, unaware that a human and an alien princess were preparing to meet their challenge together. The station might be the first to witness humans' ingenuity in action, and Lyra was eager to see it unfold. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt a strange excitement. She did not just respect this human, she trusted him. And in a galaxy filled with danger, trust was more powerful than any weapon. Yarick glanced at the approaching fleet and then back at Lyra. "Princess," he said calmly, "whatever happens, we can face it. Humans survive by thinking differently. That is what we bring to the table: adaptability, creativity, and courage." Lyra met his gaze and nodded, a rare smile on her face. "Then let the galaxy see what humans can do." And with that, the test of trust began.